Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WCW Great American Bash 1997. This was actually a fun, entertaining fucking show. I enjoyed a lot of the stuff that happened during this pay-per-view, and the main event was spectacular except for the screw job ending, which I'll get into. But a lot of this show was decent. There was one match that stood out to me that was a complete surpriser, and it was the WCW Women's Championship match. I didn't figure this match was going to be any good, and it really shocked the living hell out of me. But I watched the majority of the matches. There was only one match, actually two matches that I skipped that I wasn't really interested in, and they really weren't all that big of a deal anyway. So, I mean, I'll tell you which ones they were once I get to it, and just give you the end result of the match. So, the first match that kickstarted the show was Ultimate Dragon versus Psychosis. This was a spectacular way to start out the show. Psychosis loses to Ultimate Dragon by a Dragon Sleeper. This matchup, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Good way to start off the show. Harlem Heat with Booker T and Stevie Ray versus the Steiner Brothers. Unfortunately, the Steiner Brothers end up losing this match by disqualification because of a screwjob finish by Virgil from the NWO. He ends up hitting Booker T with an elbow drop in front of the referee, and that was the end of the match. This match would have been a 4 out of 5 stars, but because of that fucked up ending, which made no sense to me whatsoever outside of trying to keep the Steiner brothers away from the Outsiders, which to me didn't make a lot of sense to begin with. I thought that was kind of stupid anyway. But regardless, outside of the fact that they fought them a couple of times and they're probably just scared of trying to defend the titles, but still it was kind of stupid because Harlem Heat still going to have to is going to be able to challenge for the tag team titles at this point. But Harlem Heat wins by disqualification. The matchup itself was pretty decent. I would have given it a 4, but it was a 3 out of 5 stars. It dropped it a whole star because of that fucked up finish. Conan versus Hugh Morris. This match I actually skipped. Hugh Morris loses by submission to Conan. Glacier defeats Wrath. Skipped that match as well. Did not care for that match at all. Akira Hakuto, Hakuto, or Hakuto, Akira Hakuto, defended the women's championship against Medusa for the women's championship. This matchup, I was very, very surprised. Like I said earlier in this video, this was a excellent, and I mean excellent, women's matchup for the time that this was taking place. 1997 didn't know much about women's wrestling. I mean, there wasn't a lot of good women wrestlers to begin with back then. But to be quite frank with you guys, this was the best match I ever seen in a women's division in the 90s. This was excellent. It told a story. It had an injury with Medusa. Yes, it was a title versus career type of thing. I have to say it's an over and done thing. Even back then, it was kind of overkill. But this was a awesome matchup. I enjoyed this matchup a lot. I mean, there's nothing you can say about this match that didn't say it was a good match. I'm giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. Medusa ends up losing. She loses her career. But as you guys all know, if you follow WCW back in the day, she does come back. So we'll be watching out for that in the next couple of years or whatever. Anyway, because I'm only doing this once a week like you would in real life anyway, so whatever. Anyhow, this matchup told a really good story because Medusa was dealing with a bad injury during this matchup. I think that they could have went the other way around with this. They could have had Medusa win and win the championship. I think that would have been a huge upset because based on the situation, she looked like she was legitimately hurt. At least from what I saw. I don't know if it was fixed or she was selling a fake injury or what have you. I don't know. But at the end of the day, this was an awesome matchup. Medusa loses the match. And that's that. And again, like I said, 4 out of 5 stars. Now, Chris Benoit versus Ming in a death match. This matchup was like a last man standing match, only you could perform a submission hold and win the match, which is what Chris Benoit did. He won by submission with a crippler crossface and made him tap out, which nobody has ever made Ming tap out before. Solid matchup. I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Simply because of the fact that it was definitely something special. I've never seen something like that happen before. So yeah. Kevin Green versus Steve McMichael. This match was the worst. It was trash. It was boring. It had no... The fans were booing Kevin Green when he had momentum and he was the face going into this matchup. It just was a complete and utter crap fest. This match sucked ass. Kevin Green ends up getting the win by Jeff Jarrett coming down to the ring with the referee distracted by Deborah. Takes this briefcase that Steve McMichael carries around with him and accidentally hits Steve McMichael with it instead of Kevin Green because Kevin Green pulls him over him while they're in the corner and he ends up hitting the briefcase over Steve McMichael's the back of his skull, ending him out of commission. Kevin Green falls on top of him after like 2 minutes of crawling to him, which I couldn't believe that he still managed to win that match after wasting 2 minutes of everybody's time trying to cover the opponent. And from there, match was over, 1, 2, 3. Jeff Jarrett didn't come down to help him or distract the referee to give him more time to recover. Nothing. Just Steve McMichael laid there. Jeff Jarrett sat outside, couldn't believe what he did. And Deborah is standing there complaining to him as well for his mistake that he made. And I just didn't understand that at all. That was just complete utter garbage. This match gets a 1 out of 5 stars. That's how crappy it was. Now the Outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall defending the WCW Tag Team titles against Ric Flair and Rowdy Piper. This was the co-main event of the show. This was actually a good match, but it made no sense. Match was going pretty well. Fans were highly into it. People were enjoying themselves throughout most of this matchup. And then out of fucking nowhere, because Syxx gets involved, formerly actually known as X-Pac, gets in the middle of the matchup to distract the referee, and Ric Flair attacks him, which he should have. He also did something that made no sense to me as well. He grabbed the referee and pulled him to the corner, and the referee was distracted and didn't see what was going on, and Syxx actually got in the ring. I'm sorry, I messed up. Syxx actually gets in the ring, attacks Rowdy Piper, and then Ric Flair comes out of the ring and attacks Syxx as if he was trying to help the NWO. It made absolutely no sense. This led to Ric Flair attacking Syxx, and they go all the way out to into the backstage, and you don't see Ric Flair throughout the rest of the match. And Rowdy Piper was getting momentum for his team, and yet they still ended up losing because Ric Flair was no longer there to make a tag so that Rowdy Piper could recuperate from what he was dealing with both, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. It made no sense. And Scott Hall ends up hitting the Razor's Edge, and they get the 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Couldn't believe that bullshit. So, that matchup, I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And Randy Savage versus Diamond Dallas Page in a Falls Count Anywhere lights out match. Folks, this was a good match. A really good match. The ending result sucked. A lot of endings to these matches that were good being really crappy endings. I don't get it. They couldn't have had Randy Savage win this match on his own. Randy Savage wasn't making any sense either. I mean, he was attacking referee after referee. Tombstone, he didn't tombstone, he pile drived the first referee who was initially refereeing the match, and then he attacks other people, and he attacks a photographer, he's attacking everybody. There was only one thing that I saw that he had a right to attack the referee, and that was when he pulled the mat up to do a pile driver to Diamond Dallas Page on the hard floor. I get why he would do that, because Nick Patrick, I was trying to say Neil Patrick, it's Nick Patrick, was trying to restrain Randy Savage from doing that. He didn't want him to do that and possibly end the man's career. Well, Randy Savage pretty much had a right to do it because the match was unsanctioned. It wasn't even a real legit match. It wasn't being marked in the record books. So his attitude was, who the fuck are you? Where do you have the right to tell me what to do? And he punched the referee out. Made sense. But the other thing, he attacked the photographer in that spot, which made no fucking sense at all. Didn't quite get that whatsoever. There wasn't a whole lot of big spots that happened during this show. I have to say that. There was an interference at the end that blew me away, but and that was with Scott Hall coming down to the ring. He tried to hit DDP with the Tag Team Championship belt. He managed to counter, but Randy Savage picked up the belt and hit DDP in the back of the head. And then Scott Hall managed to nail the Razor's Edge on him with falling with a elbow drop by Randy Savage for the 1, 2, 3, and that's how the match ended. Now, it did seem a little awkward at the end how DDP was seemed like he was trying to roll his shoulder but couldn't, apparently, and he was just trying to get Randy Savage off of him. Now, let's go into moment of the night, spot of the night, and match of the night. The match of the night, I'm going to have to say, goes to Randy Savage and Diamond Dallas Page. This match was a 4 out of 5 stars, easy. The fans were highly interested in it. I was definitely enjoying myself watching these guys tear each other apart. And it just felt like a main event match. The moment of the night was Medusa losing her matchup, even though, it was definitely, it was a heartfelt type of moment. You had to feel sorry for Medusa. She fought her heart out in that matchup, so I have to give that the moment of the night. And then the spot of the night was actually Diamond Dallas Page and the way he hit the Diamond Cutter in this match. Randy Savage went ahead and had him in a suplex maneuver. And Diamond Dallas Page managed to counter that. He turned his body around while he was in the middle of the hold, because he had him in a headlock and was getting ready to put him in the Diamond Cutter. And he manages to twist his body around. Randy Savage loses hold of the headlock, and Diamond Dallas Page just nails him with a beautiful fucking Diamond Cutter that would make Randy Orton jealous. And I have to say, Randy Orton, I don't know if he was a huge fan of Diamond Dallas Page, but his move and Diamond Dallas Page's moves are fucking awesome because they can happen out of nowhere. It just instantly, boom. You don't know when it's going to come. It just comes and that's it. And you can put it in very interesting situations where you might not see it coming and it just happens like that. So yeah, I actually have to say that was the match of the night. Plus that was the spot of the night. And then Medusa's loss and career losing situation was definitely the moment of the night because she really fought her heart out, like I said, and I just enjoyed that matchup, and it really was shocking how good it was. So, I mean, kudos to her and Akira Agatu. I think they did an excellent job for women's wrestling for back then. They did an excellent job. So that's pretty much it, guys. Leave a comment down below. Hit the like button if you liked the video. And hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed to the channel. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day and a good night, guys. Bye.